So after a nice walk down there, then a walk that way, we then pick up and come up this steep road here to what I hope is South Peak. Up there is South Peak, where I met the man who directed me to go behind me on this road to West Peak. Route on the opposite side of the wall that I'm on right now. That is the one that is the plank that overhangs the 1,000 feet of sheer drop and cliffs above. I decided not to take that. It says the Brazil Cliff is located to the northwest of South Heavenly Gate. There's two routes, the old one and the new one. You can guess which one I'm going to take. My goal is to do this, not intimidated. Almost all of yesterday's climb up to the East Peak was like this. Interesting. Maybe a hermit's cave. How did he get there? My last view of East Peak and its mountains. Oh, there are those three peaks. Sign says this is the route to West Peak, so here we go. There I suspect is another razorback we get to climb up. But unless I end up finding an easy way to Central Peak, it may be my last peak I get to climb here. I've just come into this little niche between two rocks. It gives me this unique view off the trail. This is the Immortal's pill furnace. Yep, that's it. Hold down with the left hand and shoot camera with the right. I always got a kick out of those who work so hard to become a statistic. Thinking they're clever and more invincible. Got a better idea than people who put up the chain. Oh well, most of them succeed. And Darwin weeds out the rest. Yeah, there's the sign for the West Peak. Okay, a lot scarier from above than it is here, of course. So I'll climb up to the West Peak just to do it. And then come back down. I guess I come back down. Maybe I continue on. I'm not sure. Wasn't clear. But there's the cable car down below us, so not that far away from getting back down to the... Okay, this points me back the way I've come. And this goes the first bridal chamber under the sun. Doesn't tell me where Central Peak is. At the top of West Peak. Not much to see way out there from the fog. You can see how rugged this landscape is. And I think somewhere over there, that's probably the canyon that you drive up, which in itself is a great experience. And there's the cable car coming up right below us, but it's not in use, so it must not be the same cable car. So from the West Peak, I'm looking at South Peak, and there East Peak where I stayed. And so I assume that I go down where that Zuin, or whatever it was, temple is, somehow in that direction. This would be pretty when it rains and the water cascades down through those rivulets. Yeah, I just came through the intersection when I went through yesterday, but I had no clue because they have a map but it's all in Chinese. And it has nothing to do with any of the maps anywhere that you'll see that are in English anywhere. Lonely Planet, anything on the internet, so you just don't know. Anyway, it's where it's a loop, and that was the intersection of it. So now we're back on where I hiked yesterday. So this is shooting back up, and through here is where it is. It'd be neat if they had an English sign there that said that's an intersection, that there's a loop. Okay, here's one of the most dangerous parts up through here. Although we're going down a very steep area. I didn't take much video yesterday because I was working too hard climbing up that mountain. I'm just looking off in the opposite direction. Hard to empathize with going down, to empathize with coming up, because it was such a mind-numbing grind. It looks easy going down, but it's still difficult because sometimes there's a chain to hold on, sometimes not, and you're using your gravity, and if you lose control, that your own weight will carry you down very, very fast. I saw it happen to one girl, and she fell. So like anything you do on rocks, you have to keep your wits about you all the time. Another box of stuff that gets carried up. I don't know how much this weighs, but it's amazingly heavy, and so is this part. I just lifted up one part, and I can barely get it off the ground. I can get it off the ground lifting with my 2 feet and 2 hands. He does it carrying the whole thing. Here's a little building that goes completely unnoticed, and one can only wonder what it is. It looks like it had somewhat of an interesting facade at one time, but I have no idea now. But since this is a holy mountain, there's no telling the various uses it might have had. This is such a walk in the park going down. It's absolutely gorgeous today. It's cool at this time of morning. I don't know what it is, probably 10 because I started early. And it's a gorgeous day. And every so often are these stopping points, temples or whatever, but there's usually food and drink and sometimes very cold. It's up here yesterday I stopped and drank half of a Sprite. Little did I know how much more I had to go. And we'll continue down there. Somewhere is the cable car.